Hi, everyone, and welcome to this early edition of TSN Sports Desk. I'm Darren DeTitian. We're glad you tuned in. You know, he thought that time was on his side, but while waiting to trade disgruntled forward Kirk Muller, the clock struck midnight for New York Islanders general manager Don Maloney as he was fired this afternoon. Maloney played the waiting game, but obviously it was a game he didn't win.
We, the management and ownership of the franchise, have determined that not enough progress has been made to our franchise and our fans to get the progress that we need to be where we want to be at this point. Obviously, the play of the team thus far this year has been disappointing. We are not giving up on the season, and we expect to do better. However, we must move forward. Darcy Regier will be the acting general manager. Al Arbor will spearhead the process to select a permanent successor to Don. And we all rely on Al and respect his judgment, and he'll be advising us very closely in this most important process that we expect will not take a very long period of time.
If you are wondering who Darcy Regier is, he's been in the organization since 1978 and was most recently the team's assistant general manager. This was Maloney's fourth season as the GM of the Islanders. During his tenure, the team won 96 games, had 116 losses and 27 ties, which pretty much says it all. We will have more on the National Hockey League.
Don must go. Don is gone. We're going to talk a little bit about who might be coming in to replace him.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Gord Miller with Bob McKenzie. We'll check in with 4 Canadian rinks and get you the latest news and what's going on tonight. But the big story today in the NHL comes from Long Island, where the Don Maloney era is over with the New York Islanders. The team announced this afternoon that he is gone as the general manager in his 4th season with the team. The Islanders had little to show for his term as GM.
When we began the season, we had every expectation that the combination of Don Maloney as our general manager, Mike Milbury as our new coach, and the young talent we had with the complement of the older veterans that we had would bring us a more youthful, dynamic team and a greater competitive level. Obviously, that has not been achieved at this point. So this is something that has developed recently, but we had to take stock in where we are right now. We promised our fans we would bring a winning tradition back to the New York Islanders. We have not achieved that at this point. We will do that.
Maloney, the former Ranger, was considered by many Islander fans to be an outsider from the start. He got the job in August of '92. His team was 20 games under 500, but did make the playoffs in '93 and in 1994. Bob, this should come as no surprise. I mean, this has been rumored for months.
No surprise whatsoever that the change was made today. What is a surprise, though, is the fact that Mike Milbury was not automatically given the job. Darcy Regier, a longtime foot soldier in the Island organization, has the interim job right now, and the information I get from Long Island is that both Regier and Milbury will be considered for it, but that neither one of them is a lock for that job, and that does come as a surprise because everybody assumes Mike Milbury's there to pick up the pieces.
Now, Don Maloney, not the only lame duck. Some people would say it's because he was unable to deal Kirk Muller, that whole situation hanging over the team. What do you think were the reasons behind it?
Well, I think there are many. When you look at it, a lot of people would go back and say that the Brett Lindros situation, giving Lindros that kind of contract, and just some of the remarks that he made, we got the better Lindros, and after giving Lindros the contract, then turning around and saying that it was a stupid thing to do, but certainly the Muller thing and the dragging out of it is what's really exacerbated that situation on Long Island, and they've got a huge distraction there, and Don Maloney didn't seem that he was able to come up with a solution to the problem, and in effect, he ends up becoming the problem, and they found the solution for him.
Well, let's update you on a couple of scores happening around the National Hockey League right now. The Islanders appear to be responding to the move. Also in the first period, how about the Islanders? More teams will start firing their general managers. They lead Jersey 3-0. Flatley, Palffy, and Sweeney have all scored for the New York Islanders.
You knew something had to give. The club, 23 games into their season, had just 5 victories, and at 4 o'clock Eastern today, it was official. The man who was hired in '92 to take over and run the club was dismissed with these words.
Obviously, the play of the team thus far this year has been disappointing. We are not giving up on the season, and we expect to do better. However, we feel that we need to make decisive moves at this point, and that disease control was absolutely essential at this point to move the franchise forward. We regret this decision. However, we must move forward. Darcy Regier will be the acting general manager. Al Arbor will spearhead the process to select a permanent successor to Don, and we all rely on Al and respect his judgment, and he'll be advising us very closely in this most important process that we expect will not take a very long period of time.
So Don Maloney.
Earlier in the day, the New York Islanders fired their general manager, Don Maloney. With the Isles languishing in the bottom of the Atlantic Division, team co-chairman Robert Rosenthal and Steve Walsh felt it was time to make a decision. Maloney will be replaced by his assistant, Darcy Regier, and Al Arbor, the team's VP of hockey operations, will look for a replacement. Maloney admits that he made some mistakes over the years, but honestly thought that the end wouldn't come so soon.
I really felt I had a little more time. I knew I was playing with fire, quite frankly, because let's face it, you can't. I felt like Manuel Noriega there, let the chance going at the Coliseum there. You knew at some point in time, enough is enough. If the team doesn't respond, something's got to give. I mean, you just can't accept it from an ownership point of view. I wouldn't accept it. So I knew I was playing with fire, and like I said, I thought I might have a little bit more time to get the right deal, but obviously I didn't, and that's life, and that's fine, and it's time to move on.
So who's going to fill the GM's box on the island? It was empty Saturday. Coach Mike Milbury says he's thinking about maybe taking on both roles. And they get off to a good start. Derek King's shot stopped, but Pat Flatley backhands it in for his first goal since April the 24th. He's going to feel good about that one. 1-0 New York. Then Andrei Vasiliev, just called up on Saturday, sends Zygmunt Palfian alone, beats Brodeur for his 7th of the year. It's 2-0 for the rejuvenated Isles. They added a third for a 3-0 lead after one, and that earned them a standing O from the Long Island faithful, sticking behind their team. The Devils hope that, like the Isles, change will spark their team. Corey Schwab replaces Brodeur to start the second, but the switch ignites no more than a flicker. The lowest-ranked power play in the NHL produces as Randy McKay puts one by Tommy Soderstrom as the Devils cut the lead to 3-1, but that was their only goal of the game as the Isles win 2 straight for the first time this season. Tommy Soderstrom turned aside 20 shots for the win.
In the last couple of NHL seasons, there have been several severe or even career-threatening injuries incurred during or after a fight. 1 month ago, during a New York Islanders-New Jersey Devils melee, Isles defenseman Darius Kasparaitis sustained a serious hand injury when someone skated over it. He has tendon damage and is out until late January, early February. On November 27th...